So, dear friends, for knowledge communication, the YouTube channel, today's topic is structure of atmosphere. The very important one. You know, there are certain layers. The first one, just above our head, which starts from our heads, is troposphere. This troposphere contains, three-fourth of the entire molecular mass of the entire spheres, the entire atmosphere. How interesting is this? How useful is this to know for us that three-fourth of the mass is contained in troposphere alone. Now the troposphere exists from the ground up to 18 kilometers, and this is the sphere which contain all kinds of clouds. Kinds of clouds formation take place in this particular sphere layer, troposphere. So means this is very clear that precipitation, that is rain, hailstorm, whatsoever, snow, everything, these processes develop and happen and conclude in this, in this sphere, that is troposphere. And one more interesting point is this: for you know when we rise 160, for each rise of 165 meter, 1 degree centigrade temperature falls in the troposphere. For every 165 meter, the for temperature falls 1 degree by 1 degree centigrade. This is also very important point to note down. And but when we say that it exists up to 18 kilometer, but as far as equator is concerned, above the equator it is up to 8 kilometer only, up to 8 kilometer only. Now let us move on to stratosphere, the second sphere, the second thick layer. And this stratosphere contains actually most of the ozone, that checks the ultraviolet rays from the sun, which comes in the form of insolation, from entering into our atmosphere. That ozone, that important gas ozone, is contained in the stratosphere. Most of the ozone is in stratosphere. But one thing more, unlike the troposphere, this sphere is a peaceful one. Disturbances are negligible in this zone, in this in this sphere, and it exists from the ground up to 50 kilometers. This is a peaceful zone. This is peaceful, sphere, and up to 50 kilometer, on average. Now let us move on to third, that is mesosphere. Mesosphere exists up to 80 kilometer from the ground, and this is the very low density sphere. This one is the very low density sphere, and it is not very significant mesosphere, though its significance is there. Of course, it is a part of the atmosphere, but it is not most significant one. So let us move on to the fourth one, the thermosphere. The thermosphere contains actually two spheres within it. Number one is ionosphere, and number two is exosphere. Exosphere is the last one, last sphere. Look, now this ionosphere, this exists up to 600 kilometer above the ground, means above the surface of the earth. And what is the significant factor about the ionosphere? As the name suggests itself, it contains ions. There are ions, numerous ions, and that capables that makes it capable to reflect radio waves. And reflection of radio waves, what happens due to this? That radio communication happens. Means radio communication is possible due to the reflection of the radio waves, and radio waves are reflected in this ionosphere because there are ions, and this is up to 600 kilometer. Now, one more interesting point about ionosphere: the temperature increases with increase in height. Quite opposite to it, when we rise, for the every 165-meter rise, there is fall of temperature of 1 degree centigrade. Here it is quite opposite, very quite opposite process. Temperature increases with increasing height in the ionosphere. And the most important, the application, the most important application, which is the humanity is taking advantage of this, that radio waves are reflected by the ions of the ionosphere. Therefore radio communication is possible. And radio communication is how important for the entire humanity. Now the last one is the exosphere. Exosphere, actually, this is highly rarefied sphere. Highly rarefied means very low density. Pressure, when low density is there, so no doubt pressure is extremely low in this sphere, very low. And the gas laws, Boyle's laws, Charles laws, etc., etc., all these gas laws are not applicable in the exosphere, the last one sphere of our entire atmosphere. Okay, then this is what about this. In the next term we will go further, because when we will conclude the most important things, greenhouse effect, global warming. Before that stage, we have to discuss certain more things. So see you in the next term. Thank you very much.